Yeah, just a little bit.
Oh, no way. Right. Again, I did a very boomer moment there, and I left my mic on silent. So, yeah, so we're Katie-Jayne Swallow is the lovely lady, which is going to explain what forced adoption is about. I know I've had a few emails and comments that they're not sure what it's about. She has got a demo coming up on the 14th, and so this is mainly to talk about a case. She's happy to talk about a personal case, and if there is any questions, you can email me or put a Q in the chat, and then we can read them out towards the end. And yeah, and then we can go for what forced adoption is about, a case in itself, and what's coming up on the 14th. Now, what I would suggest is if someone in the chat can link, I've put a lot of links in the description. There's a lot of links there. So throughout the show, can you put them all into the... Oh, there's one already, look. Thank you, Shell. And then just keep putting them through. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. The email is there as well. And, if there's any generous people out there, there's a PayPal link as well. So if you can do it throughout the show, just keep putting the links. It would be very grateful. So thank you very much, Katie, for coming on. And we did meet before, which is a bit it was live, so it was a bit what the hell is this man doing? But I should have done it in a...
Yeah, you did catch me a bit off guard.
Yeah,
I mean,
I did.
I've got really bad anxiety, so when I'm in public places, or especially London, where I know London is always ram-packed, from the minute of driving in, you just hear me go quiet. I'll be all right up until you get to them busy places, and then you just hear me be quiet, and you proper caught me off guard because I was walking out of the car park as you were driving in.
Well, what it was I was live streaming and John was there, and I said, "Oh, I'm just parking in the same where Kate is," and he's like, "Quick, say hello to her for me," and I'm like, "Yeah, hang on a minute." And it's a bit random. I ain't parked yet, and they're like, "Oh," so I thought, "Okay, we'll do it." So yeah, it was a bit shocking.
But I like meeting people that way as well, though. You know, where you get to catch people off guard. I do actually like being met that way. I'm meeting people that way because you get to see like the real person without having to, have to know them a while. You get to see what they're actually like, instantly. You get to see if they are a gobshite, if they're a dick, if they're fucking, shy.
Yeah, it's true. It is true. It was a good weekend, actually. I enjoyed that. Well, the weekend, it was a good day. I had to leave early.
I had to. I mean, the people who I went down with, we ended up going back till like just after midnight. But I ended up having to go sit back in the car about 9 o'clock because I was just struggling to walk so much. I should have took my crutches with me.
Yeah, I left at about 6:30, but it took me 6 hours to get back home. So I didn't really want to leave till like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night, and then 7-hour drive. It was too much for me. So that was a brief of how me and Katie first met. I've been watching the streams and stuff before that, and I know I've seen her at demos before, but never really had the chance to meet. So yeah, if you want to do a quick introduction of yourself, there is a few people in the chat now, and yeah, we'll kick it off. So I'll over to you for this part.
Well, yeah, basically I'm Katie-Jayne Swallow. I set up Families Destroyed by the State Children Matter about 4 years ago after my family was targeted by forced adoption. And I will get into a bit about what that is now, but we have expanded, so we're not just about forced adoption anymore. Children Matter is now a wide range. I can't even get my words out today. It's a wide range of different groups, different campaigners from different backgrounds. We've got veterans, we've got child abuse survivors. We have got people who work on fathers' residency and fathers' rights groups, same with women's activists and everything like that as well. So we do have quite a few people together now. We've even got a few people in Jersey and in Ireland as well, which all work together side by side with us. But yeah, basically what forced adoption is, the reason why I mainly got involved in this is because well looked after, cared for children are being stolen from happy homes, from well looked after homes where they were cared for, where they were loved, where they had a good family to keep them, healthy. and bring them up right. And I didn't believe it when it first started happening to me. I was adamant that I was a one case off, that it doesn't happen to everyone, that I was just a mistake. So I started Googling it and I started looking into it. And there's two things that everyone comes across when they first start looking into forced adoption. And that's a video from Carol Woods, who is a social worker who basically blew the whistle on what social services are doing and how, and a website written by Ian Josephs, who lives in France and actually helps people get out of the family to avoid social services. There is also a guy in Ireland as well who used to do it. I don't know if he still does, though. I'm jumping back and forth, so I do apologise.
No, it's okay.
But yeah, when I started looking into it, I also looked into what children were being left, because obviously in the estate I live in, I wouldn't have been the family that I'd have looked at for removing kids. And multiple people in the same estate have said the exact same thing. My family have said the same thing. And before social services look at any of the actual at-risk ones that they categorise as at-risk, you have to look at what kids are being left. And although I don't like the mainstream media, Channel 4 actually fucked up because it did a documentary, Undercover Social Services. And the aim of it was to show people how stretched social services are. But what it actually does, if you're actually researching into it, and that's something you come across, along the way, is you actually see what kids are left. There was a young teenager that came in that had been kicked out of his house, and as far as social were aware, as far as they were concerned, as long as they could sleep on a bench in a park, there's nothing they can do about it. Children where there were actual risk of being beaten or abused, or there was chance that they were being beaten or abused, them cases are being dropped. And the reason why those cases are being dropped, the reason why at-risk kids are actually being left, is because if anything happens to that child while it has a social worker, then the social worker is held equally responsible to the perpetrator. And the social services, once they get involved, have to stay involved for a minimum of 6 months. That's why Baby P lost his life without a social worker, because all the times that social services went out there, they always signed it off as no concern. So that way they had no social worker allocated. At-risk kids aren't wanted. They're not easy to sell. They're not easy to adopt out. They fight back.
So, that Baby P thing, that was the most upsetting thing I've ever heard. It's absolutely shocking. So when you see the sort of the injustice that happened to that little kid, and then you hear cases of where they've taken people's kids with little or no reason, it does put doubts in people's minds. It's like, well, this Baby P had gone through hospital, photographs of bruises, and for a long period of time there was a paedophile living there. They knew he was a paedophile. And when you look at that case and you think, well, how is it someone can have their kids taken away from them when they're in stable homes? And the case that highlighted was that one, but then there's a case in Telford as well where it's like, they made a mistake, and because of the severe abuse that's happened there, it's that the parents will never get the kid back. And I think this is one of the reasons why your case needs to be highlighted, because a lot of people will just think, there's no smoke without fire. There's no, something must have happened. They must have.
I've heard that so many times. I have heard that absolutely so many times. And I always say to people, you know what, don't take my word for it. I've got playlists on our channel, on my own personal channel as well, where you can see for yourself what I was like with my kids and what my kids were like with me. Yeah. Don't take my word for it. My kids will show you what I was like. I've got all the videos, all the pictures, and you can see the difference with the fact that my son has a genuine happy smile. Yeah. Same with my daughter, both in my care. But then pictures taken in my son's father's care or in social services care, just nothing. My son forces a smile, and no kid should have to force a smile. Kids' smiles should always be natural and genuine. Yeah. But when you see as a parent that smile actually disappear and go, it's the pain that causes itself is unreal. And then when you're going through contact and you're going through court, if you show any form of emotion with your kids, especially in the final contact or any other contact. If you show any emotion, miss them, tell them you love them, cry or break down or be upset, or tell them that they're fighting to come home, you will lose contact. So we have to stay fucking hard as nails. And people wonder, I get it all the time, people ask how I can talk about things like this without crying. Well, it's simple. I was forced to do it in front of my child.
Yeah, you're programmed to do it. I mean, it's a lot of people have, including me. I mean, I'm a big guy. Everyone's seen what I look like, and these cases they do bring tears to your eyes. And it's I remember reading the baby P thing, and I'd be in tears at work. And I worked in a sort of an alpha male environment, but
well, there's something that I want to start looking into and start bringing awareness to. And if you're all right with it, I'll mention it here for the first time, because it kind of ties in where we're at the conversation at the minute. Basically, I've been doing a lot of research. I stick to what I'm fighting for my kids. Yeah. Obviously, I help out everywhere I can, but when it comes to the actual research and where my focus is, it is on why I'm here. Yeah. I've come from other backgrounds. I've come from other causes as well, but my kids come first, so that's what I focus on. And there's a documentary called Three Identical Strangers, and it's on YouTube. You have to pay for it. You can rent it, and it's dirt cheap, but it is worth the watch. And it kind of ties into what I've been trying to tell people for a while. And when I watched it the other day, I'm definitely going to be using it to put together what I'm saying. Yeah. But this is triplets who were willingly put up for adoption, but without anyone knowing, apart from obviously the adoption agency, all three were separated and put into different families. The families had to already have an older sibling, an older sister. Okay. One was from a working class background, one was from a middle class background, and one was from a lower background. Hey. It gets worse.
So that's just madness. So there's triplets, and they've literally separated them, and they've gone from top, middle, and bottom of the economic scale. Took it that way. Yep. Wow. Can you? What was the?
Am I alright to screen share?
Yeah, you can screen share. Yeah, I can put and then when it comes up, I'll change the screen. Yeah. So just let me. Just want to change the screen. Hang on a sec. And it's not letting me change the screen. No, it's not showing. Why is it doing that?
Let me move that one over here.
Yeah, it's not letting me do it. I'm still new to this app, believe it or not. Which is...
I don't even know which app you're using to do it. I know you got Zoom, but I don't know what other one it is.
Oh, I'm using... Right, 2 seconds, won't take me long. Sorry about this. The screen.
No, don't worry about it.
Not that one.
Betty Bennett's near enough hit the nail on the head, by the way, with her comment.
What was it?
She said it sounds like some sort of social experiment.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it does seem that way.
She's never enough hit the nail on the head with it, to be honest.
No, it's not letting me do it. Oh, hang on a minute. No, it's not letting me do it. What I'll do, I'll link that page into the chat, because it's not letting me do it for some reason.
No, otherwise all it'd be, even if you just go into Google yourself, you should be able to find it anyway. You just type in 3 identical strangers and it'll come up on there. And basically these lads, they've never known each other. They've grew up in the same town, well, in neighbouring towns. So they've grown up around the same area, all adopted out by the same adoption agency. And the only reason all this came to light was because one of them one of them went to college. And when he got to the college, everyone kept coming up to him, calling him Edda, welcoming him back, saying they didn't realise he was coming back, asking if he had a good summer. And when he was in his dorm, this other guy had come up And as soon as the door opened, he just froze, and he asked him if he was adopted, if it was if his birthday was his birthday, and asked him what adoption agency he was from. And the Eddie, who they kept calling him, was actually his twin, or as they'd later find out, triplet, who went to that college the year before. And so they went down, drove down, met him, and they ended up in the newspaper because of it. And that's when the other triplet found out, and then came on, and then, emailed the newspaper article and went down and met them as well. And they realised they were triplets, all adopted from the same adoption agency. They all had an older sister that was a couple of years older than them. They were all in different backgrounds. And as they were growing up, one thing that they eventually came to realise is they were all experimented on. They all, once a week, once a fortnight, once a month, had a social worker come round and do games with them, do small puzzles with them, and see where they were at physically, mentally, intellectually, emotionally, see what they liked and what they didn't like. And then this social worker would drive on to the next brother, and then on to the next brother, and do the same thing. They still have not released one of those records. One of those brothers took his own life because he couldn't cope with the psychological damage that being experimented on and being separated from his brothers did to him. So two of them still go around everywhere, still, try and raise awareness for what's going on, but they still have not released this scientific study that they've supposedly done on multiple twins and triplets. Everything they're saying there is everything that a forced adoption parent's worst nightmare, because they're separating siblings, but they're not separating just twins anymore. They are separating siblings in general. Yeah. And one of the things that we've looked at over the years, you can see it on the Jeremy Kyle show, you can see it on loads of people's shows, where siblings over years have tried getting back in touch with each other. The same thing is happening. It's to see it. I think it's to see if the biological connection's there, but I can only speculate on why they're doing it. But from everything that I've been looking at, from every angle that I've been looking at, from the facts that are coming out left, right, and centre, it doesn't look good. And I don't like the thought of what could possibly be happening to my kids. I don't like the thought of not even knowing if my kids are alive.
What is the idea of... See, I've never understood that. What is the idea of them holding that type of information? It's like, not only have you had to go through that... I don't know how to put it into words, having that horrific experience, but to prolong it, to me, they're just prolonging it. There's no reason they can't go, okay, they've just moved into they don't have to say the school, but they could say, okay, yeah, he's just done the exams and this is the results. This is, you're never going to find, if they wanted to keep it to a point where they can't give too much information out, but to say, for someone just to say, yes, they're doing well at school, at the moment now they're doing their exams, have passed their exams, I've
never even seen my kid in a school uniform.
Yeah. Oh man.
You know what I mean? I've taken other people's kids to school. You know what I mean? It's something that I will never be able to heal from. No. I've never seen my son in a school uniform, let alone taking him to school. Same, I'll never get that chance with my daughter. But it's like people seem to think that England has open adoption, where adopters will allow parents to have contacts, where that sort of thing. There's no such thing as open adoption in the UK. It's all closed adoption. If the adopters decide that they want to let any of the biological family have any input, that's up to them. But there's no such thing as open adoption in the UK. Right. I mean, the bare minimum a parent in my situation is supposed to get after adoption is a letter once a year. I don't even get that. And that's the bare minimum. What's supposed to happen is one letter a year.
Jesus. Oh, man. So if we can, do you mind if we start at sort of near enough the start of your case and type of, what was the, I mean, I'll when I come on your show, I'll talk to you privately, and this is why you are. Oh.
Like, I don't mind. I mean, no
Yeah.
questions.
Sorry, I'm getting a little bit upset, to be fair. But yeah,
honestly, don't. Because it's one of them. You're helping me educate my kids. That's how you need to see this video. Because at the end of the day, like with my health and everything, the chances are I'm not going to be around when my kids come back. But they are classed as local authority care. So that means as soon as they have kids, especially my daughter, she would be fucking lucky to take her kid home from the hospital. So this is my way of being able to actually be a parent and teach them, because I can't do it in person. So I'm having to sacrifice their child, like raising them in their childhood, to be able to educate them in their adulthood.
And to be fair, and the longer we keep publicising and people do this, there could be a chance of coming across this. I mean, you know, England's a small country, and you know, as long as they're still in the UK, God willing, then
I don't even know that.
Oh man,
they can. They could be anywhere. Yeah. My daughter could be anywhere in or out of the country. They've got no obligation to tell me. Social services don't even check up. As soon as they're adopted, that's it. They get 1 or 2 checkups while they're in the adoption placement, and that's it.
Jeez. Right, because there is a case that's clear that's close to me, which is so when I try and talk about this, I do get a little bit upset. But so can you give us of where it actually began? Obviously, you don't have to go into too much detail. It's mainly so people.
I don't mind. This is actually you know what, you're asking me at the right time, because tomorrow will be the 4-year anniversary since it started.
Wow, dear.
Today is the 3-year anniversary since it kicked off again, but yeah. But yeah, basically, my son's a very active kid. I was always raised that you're a child, you enjoy the outdoors, you don't stay stuck in front of a TV, you go, you live, you be a kid, you play, you fall, you climb, you make shit, you break shit, you know, that's how I was always raised. So I'd always be outside the front playing with my son, my neighbour's kid across the road, who was a couple of years older than my son, but one of the only nice ones on the street. He used to play with him and used to, do what kids do. Same when he went to nursery, and I went to pick him up from nursery with my partner at the time, so my daughter's dad, who I was with at the time, and I was outside sat in the car. I was finishing off my college work and everything because I'd just been picked up from college, and my cousin came out with her son. So I went over to talk to her while my partner went inside to get Liam. She started to tell me something, and then obviously my partner came outside. They said that the manager wanted to speak to me, so I said, right, okay, let me go put this paperwork in the car and I'll go in. They thought I was going to go in the car, so they've come out to grab me. I've gone up to the office, and they've asked where Liam's got a couple of his bruises from on his knees. Right, well, he's got it from being a kid. It's summer. He walks everywhere. He's 2. A 2-year-old walking everywhere isn't exactly steady. You know what I'm...
No, it's true.
You know what I mean? It's just a typical 2-year-old. The next day, which would have been obviously tomorrow, 4 years ago, social services turned up while I was out shopping. So they phoned me up, asked where I am. I'm out shopping, doing normal stuff. How can I help? Oh, well, we need you to come back. We've had a report put in. So I've come back because I know the reports are about a couple of the bruises that he's had on his knees. And obviously they've asked me to strip him off so they can see him. He needed changing anyway, so I did that. Next thing you know, they said that we had to go down to the paediatric unit so that they could collaborate where what I was saying to what he had, and to make sure he had no broken bones. Making excuses for shit to explore shit. They kept commenting. They had us in there for hours. And they kept commenting and complimenting how strong mine and Liam's bond was, how he wouldn't leave my side, how he wouldn't take food from a stranger, how he'd cuddle up with me, how he was looking to me for comfort when the strangers, social workers, were trying to talk to him. Next thing you know, I've got 2 police officers coming in as well, and I've got told that I either sign the Section 20 and Liam gets taken into care voluntarily over the weekend while they investigate, or they take Liam regardless, and I'd have to fight through court to see him, which could result in me not seeing Liam ever again.
And this was over two to bruises where, you know, kids have got bruises all over the place.
He had a couple of he had a couple of bruises on his legs, but what I didn't realise until that medical appointment was Liam had bruises appearing on his arms, on the top of his arms, so it looked like it had been grabbed. And they'd asked me where it come from. I said, I have no idea. I don't grab my kid. I said, if there had been a bruise, it'd only have been on one arm from when I've swooped him back off the sofa. I said, and they wouldn't have been a grab mark because I swooped him back into my chest. So I didn't grab him to do it. I swooped round him to make sure that he didn't fall off if I grabbed one arm. So I said, so there shouldn't be any bruises whatsoever on his arms, and especially not from me. They ended up taking him into care, and we're fighting through court for ages. And I decided it ended up being the last court case, but I was almost not going to turn up. I decided that I was going to lose. There was nothing I could do. They weren't going to listen to anything I was saying. And, you know, I did change my mind. I did end up going in, and it turned up that my barrister had actually drove out to my house after I'd already set off to come and pick me up. And the reason was because the doctor had put in a letter that morning for the court to say that the witness statement that my cousin had given, the one I'd seen coming out, had put in a witness statement stating that when she was leaving with her son, the nursery worker grabbed and restrained Liam and held him to the floor because he wanted to leave with her and his cousin.
Wow. Jeez.
That nursery worker still has her job. That was the 10th of March 2016 was when he was taken the first time. 10th of March 2017 was when they got his dad to kidnap him. And that was the week before my daughter was born.
So you say his dad kidnapped him?
Yeah, his dad actually, he's good at kidnapping. He kidnapped me from care when I was in Germany. He's not a nice man. He's got a 26-page long criminal record. On a couple of my earlier videos that I did when I first started protesting, I used to take these documents with me everywhere because they proved what I was saying. It had documents in there from when I'd first come back from Germany when I was first pregnant with my son, where the police had to come and get me from his house because he was threatening to kill me. Because he'd beaten me black and blue so many times up and down his mum and dad's house after he'd got sniffed off his face or coked up. He's 8 years older than me. I was 16. He just kidnapped me from fucking care, for fuck's sake, from a different country. I had my mum's and my grand's number, which was the only numbers that I knew, blocked on every device in the house so that I couldn't phone anyone that I knew anyway. Wow. And they gave my son to him because he's the only person who can keep me away from my son, because I know the threats are real from him. Yeah. And I know he'll do it in front of my son. And I can't put my son through that. No matter what it costs to get him back, I cannot put my son through that psychological damage. And he's at the age where he can remember everything now, which is why they will not let me have any contact whatsoever, because he remembers everything. And he's at the age where he's starting to talk about everything.
So is he with his dad now, is he? Or is he?
Yeah.
He is. Oh my God.
They even offered him to have my daughter, knowing fair well that he hated my daughter's dad because my daughter's dad helped me raise my son. My son called my daughter's dad Dada, and he couldn't stand it. He's one of them dead narcissistic, possessive people. I wasn't his partner when I was with him. I was his possession. I was his trophy. I was his thing to fucking beat around whenever he felt like it. And
what I find quite strange is that they've, obviously this criminal record is actually got, and so when you look for someone to take care of a child, there's a fit and proper person process. Do you want
to know what makes it even worse?
I mean, it's like, wow.
The salt in the wound part of it is the last entry on the copy of the criminal record that I've got is from when he beat the shit out of his wife at the bottom of the stairs while my son was at the top of the stairs, partway through the court process.
Fucking hell. And this is what
it came out in court and they shrugged it off. I've got nothing on me. I've got no criminal record. I used to feel dead embarrassed at the fact that I never experimented with drugs. I never went out and partied and got pissed.
Yeah.
I never went abroad with friends, or I don't have any of that background. So I used to be embarrassed about it, that I never lived. But now I'm grateful for it, because I've got fuck all. I'm squeaky clean. The only thing they've got on me is when they took me in to question me about the bruises to Liam, which I'm a gobshite. I spoke to them for 4 hours. If I had anything in the slightest to hide, I wouldn't have spoken to them for 4 hours. I won't be making that mistake again, though. I thought they were actually fucking listening to me. They weren't.
Nah, and this is obviously when I come onto yours, I'll probably I can't really speak about it, but I'll tell you offline anyway. So this is just crazy. So I mean, they've took a child off a mother with, my daughter's come home from school with bruises when they've been playing, where she's fell over in the school, and she's got grazed knees and stuff like that. This is just the case. It's identical to some of the cases I've heard.
This is the thing, though. You'll see it with everyone, and you'll see it a lot of the times. Like, there's 3 steps that social services always take. First step, remove one of the parents. So it leaves one of the parents with the kids, the household, everything. And it also financial strain as well, because you have 2 places to fend for, because this is going to go on for months. Second step, remove the kids from the last parent. So they're left with no one, because they're still not allowed to have the partner back. They've got the whole house on their heads, as well as going to contact and seeing the kids and sorting everything else out and doing everything you can, as well as sorting out paperwork and trying everything to get everything in line to prove shit that couldn't possibly have happened, so you can't possibly prove or disprove. And then the final step is separating the siblings from each other. Obviously, if you've got more than one, the last step is separating the siblings from each other. Makes the younger ones easier to adopt. It's all about breaking the kids. The breaking of the parents, that's just a bonus. That's what the months and months and months of court cases about, is breaking the parents. The whole contact side of it and the removal of certain familiar identities, that's to break the kids. Kids look at both parents as stable parents. Then they remove one of the parents. The kids aren't going to blame social services for that parent going. They're going to blame the parent. And then they get removed from their last form of stability, which is more often than not the mother. But it isn't always the case. I know it happened with a couple of fathers that I know. And you remove them again from their last bit of safety, from their last bit of security. And then to remove them from their other siblings, that takes them from their last form of safety. That is all mental. That's all there to mentally break people. And it's also mental brainwash as well. You can see politicians, I think Michael Greenwood or something like that, I can't remember his name. He was adopted, and he's pushing for more adoptions because it's financially better for the kids if they're adopted, so more kids should be adopted. And
that's the stance they're taking. It's fine.
That's the mentality. That's not just the stance they're taking, but that's the mentality of people who've been adopted, who are in positions of power where they think that is normal.
Yeah.
That's not normal. That is a very, very severe mental health issue. Sorry.
So you mentioned you had 2 children.
I do. I have my son and my daughter.
Yeah. Is your daughter with yourself, or?
No. See, I did actually manage to get my son back the first time. Yeah. And the day before they were due to sign us off, which would have been 3 years ago today, they got my son's dad to take him. It was actually on a Friday at that time. And it would have been the last weekend his dad would have seen him until after my daughter was born. He'd also changed the contact, so instead of seeing my son having my son one weekend a fortnight, it would now be 1 weekend every 3 weeks. And that would have been the last weekend before, anything really, before we actually kicked off. And I was actually in hospital because I was heavily pregnant with my daughter. She was due the following week. And because of my blood condition, I was literally had to go to hospital. By the end of my pregnancy, I was going to hospital 3 days a week. And that's that's 3 towns over from 2 or 3 towns over from where I am.
Yeah.
And my auntie took my son to the drop-off point to drop him off with his dad. His dad was fine with it and everything. And my auntie said that about 25, 30 minutes later, he then drove off. Next thing you know, I'm getting a call about an hour later from the social worker telling me I've got 20 minutes to make it 5 towns over the opposite way, past my house, from the hospital to get to this meeting because Liam had apparently... my son had been told by his dad, and I don't blame my son for this. I really don't blame my son for this because he was told to say it.
Yeah.
And my auntie heard the bribe there and then. When my son wanted, I don't know if you know, but what a twirly woo is.
No, I don't know what that is.
This is why I don't like my kids watching the Now cartoons, because the Now cartoons, like In the Night Garden, it's shit.
Yeah, it's weird.
Well, this twirly woo thing is sort of like a character from In the Night Garden.
Oh, okay.
And he'd been watching it all morning at my auntie's house because she had a grandson there, which is my nephew. They're both the same age. Literally 2-month bloody difference, but the lads, when they're together, a nightmare. But yeah, he told his dad he wanted a twirly woo, and his dad said, "Don't worry, I'll get you a twirly woo." And next thing you know, my son's coming out with words that he didn't know, that I'd never taught him and that he'd never heard. He started, because obviously I changed my name legally a few years ago because, well, social services just destroyed me, and I never liked my first name anyway, so I got rid of my first name and went back to my birth last name and kept the middle name.
Yeah.
So, but my son got taught to call me Naughty Mummy Imogen, and to say that when he's naughty, he gets smacked. He's never heard the word naughty. He never called me mummy. He called me mum.
Yeah.
No one called me Imogen. They all called me Imma. So my son, if you ask my son what my name was, he'd say Imma. He wouldn't tell you it was Imogen. He didn't know. And smack. No one around him uses those words, especially not when I'm around, because no kid should know what that is.
No, it's true.
The reason why was a couple of days beforehand, because he sleepwalks and he sleep crawls, and because of how heavily pregnant I was, I couldn't sleep, so I was watching House on TV. I still fucking remember what I was watching. But I was watching House on TV, and I was watching him on the baby monitor because I had one of them night vision ones ready for when baby came. I'd seen him get up and start crawling on his bed. The next thing you know, he's toppled out because he's crawled in the wrong place, so he's fallen out. So I've gone to check on him, give him a kiss. He said he wants to come in bed with me instead of going back into his own one. So he came and slept in bed with me. And he had a tiny, and I mean about the size of a 5p piece on the side of his face where he'd fallen out of bed and he'd landed on one of his toys. It was documented at nursery the day prior to him being picked up. And he told my auntie and her daughter and his cousin that he'd done it in bed.
Yeah. So
he told multiple people. He also told my daughter's granddad that he thinks he did it in nursery, which was the day I picked him up.
Jeez.
So, because obviously his dad is his dad and set out to destroy my life, since I'm the only person who actually fucking walked away from him and outed him for what he is, worked with social services because he wasn't my son that was no longer the target, because my son had hit the age of 3 and he was going on to being 4. He was getting past the adoption marker, and because he was already smart anyway, especially for his age, he was getting to the point where he knew who we were. He knew who his mum was. He knew who his dad was. He knew who his family were. He knew what school he was at. So they couldn't, it wouldn't have been easy to have integrated into another family. He wasn't the target. My daughter was. 1 week to the day after my son was taken by his dad, my daughter was born. They waited till the last possible day, because the day they had to sign me off landed on a Saturday. So the day they took Liam was the last possible time they had to take him to get my daughter. They had no reason to adopt my daughter without my son, which is why they try and keep me as far away from my son as possible, because my son destroys everything just by talking. Wouldn't even need to be there. But they know if I go down to contact or if I got to see him, my phone would be on record and it would be on the side. And I'd forget myself that it records. And I do it all the time. I bloody doxed myself on my own YouTube channel the other day. So, because I constantly forget I'm recording because I'm not used to it. I don't want to focus on recording, so I don't like focusing on recording. So, but they know I'd be able to catch them out that way. They do everything in their possible power. They don't have to prove that you have done something, just that you could. You have to prove that at no point, at any point in the future, would you do anything to that child. That includes shouting at them. That includes taking something off them. Includes grounding them.
Yeah.
It includes grabbing them, even if it's to pull them out of the way of something. Social services are now targeting families who are using food banks, or families who don't vaccinate their kids. Kids who don't go to school, or parents who prefer to homeschool. All these kids are being targeted now.
Yeah. So the grounds that you lost your daughter, that they stole your daughter, was on the grounds of
risk of future emotional harm, risk of future neglect, and risk of future physical harm, because my son was active. All I asked for in court when it came to the finding of fact hearing, I asked for 3 witnesses. I asked for my GP, the health visitor, and the family support worker. That was it. Just for them 3. Yeah. All professionals. I handed in a shitload of statements and references from military, from NHS, from school, from education boards, from nurses, from people who've got to set up their own companies, from foster carers, even from adoptees themselves. And they were all thrown out the window. Didn't want to know. The judge didn't want to hear from anyone who wasn't opposed to the children coming home. Well, who didn't want the children to come home.
What type of legal advice did you because obviously it's expensive.
I made the worst mistake ever, but the problem is when it comes to social services, when they first get involved, they give you a list of solicitors you're allowed to use. Because you can only get...
Didn't know that. So they're tailored to... Right, okay. Why is that? Did they ever say why that was?
Because they work with social services, and it took me losing my kids to... it took me losing my kids to finally work it out. By the end, I was representing myself because I worked it out, but it was too late by then. They gag you in your own statements. They'll tell you that certain things can't go in, when in actual fact they should go in, because who else is better to tell the judge what you like if not you? I wanted to put in, I've got fucking stacks of photo albums for my kids. My daughter's got a stack of purple albums, my son a stack of blue ones. All, both tailored for them for when they're older. I've got my own photo albums myself, which the kids can go through when I'm gone and pick for themselves. But I wanted to put my photo albums in to show them, if I was that bad of a parent, why the fuck would I put so much time and effort since before they were born to do these? I've got memory boxes which are massive, which have everything from their umbilical cords. If I was a bad parent, if I was shit, why the fuck would I do that?
Yeah.
They gave me hope and told me that if I changed everything, if I had significant enough change of circumstances, redecorated the house and everything, then I'd stand a chance of getting my kids back. So I went out, I got qualifications. I got qualifications in child welfare, in child safeguarding, in promoting positive child behaviour, in psychology and child behaviour. I redecorated the house in a week. Campaigners came down from London, Brighton, from everywhere, to help me decorate the entire house in a week. It doesn't look like much at the minute, but it's a massive change to what it was, and same everywhere. And that didn't make a lick of difference. Not one. It didn't even matter that by the end of it, I had more qualifications than the manager who took my son the first time. The social worker who took my son the first time got promoted when she did it the second time, which begs the question: why the sudden jump as soon as she's took my son for the second time? Why is she all of a sudden getting promoted? And then the guy who replaced her and became social worker of my daughter adopts the kids he takes. He adopted his own sister's son. And these are the people that are working in these places. Every time my daughter saw his face or heard his voice, she screamed. And I have never in a million years heard my daughter scream like that, for no reason other than just seeing his face and hearing his voice. And that always made me worry. And I used to question it all the time, constantly, and ask for new social workers constantly. But they just don't care.
you know what, hearing it like that, it's hard to take in. It really is. You know, I've got 3 daughters. You know, and the areas I've lived in, you know, I've seen some horrendous living conditions. You know, for that people, and I've seen families with, you know, a lot of kids, and it's clear that they're struggling to look after, and they don't seem to, you know. And
I've seen it a couple of times myself, where one of the mums I work with, she's got 12 kids, but they've only taken the youngest 4. The oldest kids have left.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's not like she can't, you know, look after them, because the older ones have left. They've got their own lives. They've got their own kids. But they took the youngest 4. 2 of them have been adopted. The other 2 have been put in long-term foster care. So they've done the same thing, where they've separated the parents first, who were already on the verge of being separated anyway.
Yeah.
And then you've got them separating 2 of the siblings from the other 2. But those 2 that have been adopted haven't been adopted together. One of them's been adopted. The other one's still up for adoption. It's just not official yet.
Because I was reading up on a comment that you made on another stream where you said that you've highlighted it, just where you said that any of the females, mainly females, that are in the care system, there's almost a guarantee, and I'm talking in the 95% chance, that any of the kids that they have are more than likely going to be removed because of the fact that
it's more than a 90% chance. It's more like a 99.9% chance. I mean, I was in the care system, but I wasn't in the care system over here, but I was still targeted because I was in the care system.
Yeah.
I raised the flag because I was in the care system in Germany, and I came over and I let them know that I'd moved back over.
And it's, you know,
I asked them for help when I first came over. When I first told them I'd moved back over, because that was the condition, I begged them for help to help me protect my son from his dad and what they were like. And those records got mysteriously vanished when they wanted my daughter.
Oh my God! And it's got to the point, and you know, when they've closed the case on this, there's no sort of appeal process at all. You'd be lucky to find one. The family court system is built against you. Do you think that with this being publicised so much, it is of all these cases, and you know, I'm not going to go into the grooming stuff, but the miscarriages of justice where the social workers have been involved, where social workers have given children back to their captors, given back to their abusers, you know, they've ignored so much. Do you think that with all this being highlighted, at some point there could be a case of a miscarriage and rights will be
I mean, I'm hoping so. But there's one thing that does infuriate me with this grooming gang thing, and with all of us truth tellers on the streets, and I am including myself in that. And the reason why it infuriates me a bit is because, you know, a lot of these kids have come from care homes.
Yeah.
But where have they come from before these care homes? They've come from parents like me, like parents like you. They've come from parents who have done nothing but love their kids and just wanted the best for them. That's where these kids are coming from. Yeah, they're care kids, but guess what? The majority of them were forcibly removed from a good background. And when it came out in Manchester about Victoria Agolia, on that first demo, I was expecting thousands there. I was hoping to see thousands. I was hoping that it had clicked with the amount of people that it's happened to in Manchester, that this is our kids that it's happening to. These aren't just random kids. This isn't just kids that just put themselves in care. These are kids that have been forced into this care system. So why the hell aren't we having more forced adoption parents, more long-term foster parents? Yeah. Why aren't these all coming out? Why aren't these all on the streets? Why aren't these fighting for them and saying, hang on a fucking second? There are kids that are being destroyed. There are kids that are being targeted. You know, and something needs to stop. So I kind of went off on a bit of a mad rant then.
No, it's fine.
But I'm hoping that everyone starts coming together, because it needs to. It's not just forced adoption. It's not just grooming. I mean, it is happening to kids on a daily basis anyway, online, everywhere. And we hear all the time people online saying about coming forward and about helping and standing up and doing what's right. And it's about time we did that by actually, putting out our hand and reaching out to people to create that web. That's why I reach out to absolutely everyone I possibly can do, and that's why I'm starting nagging you now to come on the channel as well, because
I'll definitely be on there, and I'll briefly go into my own case. Not like it's similar in a way, but it's difficult because it's whenever you see like activism, no matter what it is even before I started going with some of the Tommy movements and the demos, I always had this picture of these fight scenes and riot things, and you're thinking, nah, man, and then you read the normal press, their take on it, and go, oh no, that was because of this was because of that. And I was I was thinking, nah, come off it, the police ain't going to come there with batons if you're just standing there talking. And it wasn't
we've got the lucky end of the straw, to be honest, and it wasn't until a couple of the veterans come up and a couple of other campaigners came up to one of our events. Kenton was the first one, Army veteran. He came up to an event in July, and he didn't believe us that we said people just ignore us.
Yeah.
We don't get people coming up to us and giving us hate. We don't get opposition turning up and giving us shit. We don't see media coming up and making fools out of us by twisting what we're doing, because they do not acknowledge us. They do not want to acknowledge what happens. I mean, you said a minute ago, you see all these cases coming forward, but I mean, do you know children are taken every 20 minutes in the UK, and that statistic's from 2018?
Jesus.
It goes up every time you get to the 1st of October, you hit the adoption drive where they go into overdrive, taking more kids so they're ready for Christmas and for New Year.
I'm gonna make a controversial statement, right? And I have to say it because I need someone's opinion of that's in this thing. Now, steadily over the last 20 years, this has been increasing, and if them figures, I knew it was a lot, I didn't realize it was that. But do you not think it's to do with the way I'll be polite, the LGBTQ community is geared, where there's a lot more families.
That's helping it increase.
So they need kids to.
That is helping it increase. That is drastically helping it increase. And they've already put action into place to make it increase again in a couple of years dramatically. But it's not just been going on for 20 years. This has been going on since 1934. This has been going on for a very, very long time.
Because the better parents are, the better living conditions that there are, the better schooling there are, the better we can treat different illnesses for behavioral problems, and the better we do that, it makes us in turn better parents, the better schooling, the better teachers. And for me, when people look for adoption, they have to get the children from somewhere. I know it's a very negative thing to say,
but it's right.
I think they have to come on.
We live in the 21st century. Who in the 21st century who wants to start a family wants a child that they're going to have to work on for the rest of their lives? Who are emotionally, physically, and mentally damaged. No one in the 21st century wants to deal with that. So those kids who are genuinely taken for a reason, end up being neglected and abused in the care system.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, I work with Bobby and Joseph Blair on the campaign, who are two children who were forcibly removed from their mum and their other siblings and put into boys' homes and children's homes where they were repeatedly gang raped and raped by priests and fathers and other kids in there. They're also veterans as well. They also went on to fight for the army, and I work closely with them, and I absolutely adore them. But I mean, it looks like an experiment. It really, really looks and feels like an experiment what they're doing. And I can't for the life of me find a reason that puts that, to shame, that puts that explanation to shame about us being experimented on, because there's so many different ways that people go about it, and there's so many alternatives. And with science, with experiments, you have to, count in the variables and see what those variables are.
Yeah, you do, yeah. Because I think as well, it's I will talk. I'm going to talk about what I meant by that, because I don't. A lot of my shows have to take down, because if I say stuff that is really controversial, so I normally have to take them down. So I can't. I'm not going to do it on here, but I do think if parents are getting better, there's sometimes very little reason to take children away, and because there's so many parents now, because of their lifestyle, let's say, that they want to adopt kids and they don't have kids themselves because they could be male and male or whatever. They need kids from somewhere, and although it sounds sadistic, but I really believe it could be because of this. It is. Be. It
100%
We've got
is.
10,000 couples that are of the same sex. I'll just say it. They want to adopt, and so if I think generations and generations, parents have got better and better and better, and they're trying to find now the littlest reason to take children away to supply this field.
It is. My daughter was like, it took me ages to find out and to put the pieces together, and I wasn't expecting to realize this or to even find this out, but my daughter was pre-ordered, and I've met a couple of other people as well where their kids were also pre-ordered. And one of the easiest ways you can tell about pre-ordered kids is they are rushed through court. They are piggybacked onto other cases, and they're supposed to go on for 6 months.
Yeah.
And you'll find pre-ordered kids could barely go on for 3 months. And my daughter was piggybacked on the end of my son's case. I wasn't allowed to find in a fact hearing. I had one hearing after my daughter was taken, and that was to basically say, that's it, she's going up for adoption. All my family went forward. There was no reason why she had to be taken out of the family. My biological family went forward. My first step family went forward. My second step family went forward, and my military family all went forward as well. But no one was good enough.
You see, that's what I was going to come to in a second. It was, I've got a guest coming on, hopefully in about 4 weeks' time, and it's a survivor of a rape gang, and she was in the grips from 11 till 17, and it's yeah, I can't really talk about that case, but yeah, it's almost like they've got to feed the demand,
They do. They really, really do. And a lot of people don't realise that a lot of these kids have been taken. Like, one of the reasons why they got Liam and Christy, because obviously they got Christy because of Liam, but not because of him, but they got Christy because they took Liam. But I've lost my train of thought again.
No, it's true. And then, so what I was going to ask is, what a lot of these cases, successful cases, are where the stepdad may have took it, or the immediate family have been able to take on, the.
Well, in a lot of cases where you find that one of the parents did actually get the kid back, like in my case, like where my son's dad got him. I've seen it happen in so many cases, and another one of my admin is really, really suffering because of it. But you'll find that the abusers in domestic violent relationships get control of the kids.
Yeah.
And the reason that is because then they have control over the mother, and any future kids that the mother has, all they have to do is make sure that the eldest is with the abuser, and they give the abuser the option to take the other ones. Majority of the times they say no, because you know what's going to happen to that kid if that abuser takes them, you know what I mean? Especially if it's not their kid. But the majority of the times you'll see the adopters get custody. And she's called Sarah Ann, the mum that I work with. She's the admin that's over in Ireland currently. And her son is being physically and sexually and mentally abused by his dad and his dad's wife. And social services are keeping that kid there. That mum has fought for God knows how long to get custody of her kid back, and which she has got now. She has got custody of her kid back now, but she still has to send her kid to his abuser every week or every fortnight, and he's petrified every time to go down. And she has to deal with the fallout every time the kid comes back. She has to deal with the outbursts and the temper tantrums because that kid's lashing out because of the abuse and because no one's protecting him. And this lass has been crying to me and the rest of the team, and multiple occasions, because her son kind of blames her, and she blames her as well.
Yeah.
Because as a mum, she's supposed to be able to protect him, and social services are stopping her from being able to protect him. But she's got a younger kid as well, to a different dad. So she's constantly battling day in and day out, even though she's got her kids back, to keep control of her, to keep control of having her kids, because one slip up and that's it, gone. And that's what happens when your kids do come home. That was to happen the same thing with me when Liam first came home. The entire time he was home, every single thing I was watching, everything I made, I had to stop him from playing outside in certain areas. I had to, keep him more confined, which is not what you should do with a kid.
No.
But they were looking for any excuse. They came round every day to check the cupboards were full. Can you try and imagine just keeping your cupboards full every day of the week, and your fridge and freezer full every day of the week? I had to resort to going out and buying tinned food because I'm a fussy eater. I don't like tinned veg. I think if you're going to eat veg, you eat it properly. Don't eat tinned stuff.
Very true.
So I went out and I bought shitloads of tin stuff, shitloads of packaged stuff that I don't like. I did the same every week for my fridge. I bought shitloads of stuff for my fridge, which I knew I didn't like. And I'd put them, 1 week I'd have them in the packet. The next week I'd take them out of the packet and put them in Tupperware and put them in there. So there was constantly stuff in. I was throwing away money once a fortnight, just to make sure that the fridge was restocked.
How did the services treat you out when they come around? Were they pleasant? Were they just looking for something to happen? So they would. It was because some of the cases I've been reading.
I got two different experiences with them, to be honest.
Yeah.
With the first one, Jane Thomas-Saber, she irritated me. And the reason why she irritated me is because she was one of those girls, and I say girls for a reason instead of women, who sit there constantly with that high-pitched voice, constantly messing with the one of those.
Yeah.
So, I'm an open person. I have nothing to hide. I'll sit and I'll talk to anyone about anything. I don't care. I'll talk to you about the colour of the grass for an hour. Doesn't bother me. And, I could talk to her. But what I didn't know at the time was all she needed was to get in my house. She could write down that I said whatever.
Yeah.
And, me just giving her subjects throughout my life or whatever, because, growing up going to the opera, I don't see it as a bad thing. I like the opera. I like ballet and I like theatre. And I'm not going to be ashamed of it. I am a posh twat at heart. I don't care.
Aren't we all?
I grew up posh,
yeah.
So that's my excuse. I grew up posh. I had a trip with the army, and then I've lived fucking lower class. I've had a lot of experience. Oh fuck! But yeah.
So they are. So it is. Generally speaking, they are literally just waiting for the slightest little thing, like maybe that's not put away properly. Cups left on the side, so that could be a danger. Oh, she's not aware of the surroundings. There's a plate and a cup somewhere.
100%. They do everything to push you to the limits. I mean that. I mean, this is just with my son. This isn't with my daughter yet. You'll see a whole new level of rude and arrogance. But with my son's side of things, she'd sit there and she'd just let me waffle on. She'd even talk about her own family and about her own issues and everything, and make me feel dead comfortable. So I'd talk, and she'd be writing down I was saying stuff that I couldn't possibly have been saying.
Yeah. Do you think that if we'd have, I mean, now we're in this technological age and everyone's recording things and everyone's documenting. Do you think?
Oh, you have to record.
Yeah. Do you think it'd be more difficult for these people to actually come into your home and then, if you're recording?
Put it this way, if you don't record, when it comes to court, and it will come to court, it will be your word against a professional's, but not just one professional's, because you'll have the guardian backing them up as well. And not just that, but you'll also have the midwife or the health visitor, whichever you've got, also backing them up, or school, depending on what age your kid is. So it'll be your word against at least 3 professionals' word. who's the judge going to believe?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
If you record it, it's no longer your word. It's your word backed up by their word.
Yeah.
So it makes a whole new ball game. It holds them accountable for what they're doing, which is what needs to happen, because look at what's happening if we don't.
Fucking hell.
It's estimated that by 2025 there'll be no natural birth lines left. We're 5 years off that estimate. That estimate alone is a fucking scary thing, but then you look at other statistics from around and you'll see that estimate's actually pretty all right.
They'll have nowhere, sorry, no natural
birth lines
for adoption wise, or just general
birth lines in general. Obviously, I'm not saying that estimate is a scientific one, but it was estimated last year that by 2025 there'll be no natural birth lines left if this adoption rate keeps going up.
If it keeps going up. So where would you? So have they put a warning? So if you had another child now?
Oh, it'd get taken at birth. The chances are it'd get taken at birth anyway. It's not guaranteed, but the chances are it'd be taken at birth. And the reason I get that is from the legalese that they put in my daughter's adoption paperwork, that if I didn't sign my daughter's adoption papers, that it would have dramatic detrimental impact upon myself and my daughter and any future children thereof.
So not only is
I wasn't even offered at any point to sign any adoption papers. They never asked me at any point in the entire 2.5 years I was going through the court.
This is just... And what legal help's there? Because if someone watches this, in future to come, I mean, what help is out there? I mean, obviously I didn't realise that you have to use their sort of selected few of solicitors, but is that a legal requirement that you can't go out?
Or you can represent yourself.
Right. Okay.
Which is the best option. Majority of cases that win have represented themselves.
Yeah. And
a lot of people are terrified to do it, and bloody hell, my anxiety has never gone off as much in my life compared to when I represented myself. But you know what? I wish I'd have done it the entire way through it, because who the hell's going to tell the judge what's best for my kids better than me? I birthed them. They're my kids. They are unique to me. I share their DNA.
So not only have there's been a massive miscarriage, you've had no help from the social services because the legal team is the social services. So
do you want to hear the joke of the recent joke?
Go on.
The recent joke is one of my admin's daughter has just been adopted. I spoke to her yesterday, I think. She's been offered like this fucking meeting thing, like post-adoption thing, so for counselling and whatever. That's only been within a week of the kid being adopted. She's been offered counselling. My kids were adopted. Well, my daughter was adopted over a year ago. 2 days ago. I've not been offered shit. They've completely dropped me on my ass, and I reckon it's got a big thing to do with what I do. That's the risk I pay. Luckily, I did study a lot with psychology. I did study a lot with child psychology and everything like that. So I have got ways that I keep myself going through things. I'm kind of my own counsellor, and then a lot of other people, do get the fallout of me lashing out every now and again and having a rant. And I do apologise to Luke Uncaged for the recent one. Yeah.
It's so what's concerning. So that not only have they done this to you, they're also stopping you from having I'll put it in quotes, a normal life where you can have a child, you can go through motherhood properly.
I mean, I've got to give credit to my partner, to be honest, because he has a kid. And he has come on a couple of the shows with me, but he can't come to a lot of things with me because he's a full-time dad. He's a single parent, a single sole parent. So, and I do have a lot to do with, that side of things, but it's not something that I can actively do.
No.
It's not something I can actually actively bring into, to what I do. And I know eventually me and him are going to end up butting heads if we ever had kids in the future. I've planned to have kids in the future. We're going to end up butting heads in the future. And a massive hurdle, what we're going to have to come over, especially me, is I've already spent years convincing myself that I'd be selfish and I'd be one hell of a horrible human being to bring another sibling into a two sibling pair who already can't see each other.
Yeah.
That's where my head straight away goes to is, but my kids won't be able to see each other.
Yeah.
And that's horrible. That thought of, if I did have another kid, then, I'm just bringing another kid into that separation. And I feel like I have already done that because my partner's son is absolutely adamant that my son and my daughter are his best friends. Yet he's never spoken to them. He's never seen them. But he sees their picture pop up on my phone, or I'll be wearing my jacket that's got their picture on, and he'll stop and he'll tell anyone who's near about my kids. And it's the most heartwarming thing, but he always asks when you get to meet him. And I'd love for them to meet. Because I know they'd fucking get on like a house on fire, but it's just...
How does other... Because this was another question as well, was how... So in this country, he's illegally buying for this country. So if you wanted to set up a family, knowing that if you was to have a child now, more than likely it would be taken away, would you look down the option of emigrating somewhere so you can set up a new life and actually be a mom and bring your own flesh and blood up without this going on? Is this something that is possible, or is it?
To do that, me personally, for me to do that, I'd have to accept the fact that I'd never be able to see my kids again and my family, like my little brother, because I wouldn't be able to go abroad, have my kids and come back. My son is a German citizen. My son was born in Germany. His passport, his birth certificate is German. He is a German citizen. The UK government have no rights to him, which is why they couldn't adopt him. The German authorities told them that if they wanted to go after Liam for removal, it had to be done on German soil. It had to be done either back in Germany, which is what they were aiming for, because my son's dad is wanted in Germany. So they were aiming for it to be done over in Germany, because in Germany you have to be on the birth certificate, but you have to have a DNA test to prove you're the father to go on the birth certificate. And because he's wanted in Germany, he couldn't get there, which was my safety net up until found out about me, seeing what he was like. I got nothing but compliments the entire time my kids were growing up because of how nice they were, how well behaved they were, how polite they were. I mean, I wish they'd misbehave a bit more.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I do, because I don't even mean that as a joke. I really do wish I had, because all I've got is a couple of faded pen marks on the banister upstairs from when me and Liam decided, Liam decided he was going to draw. So I decided, to teach him a valuable lesson, I'll draw with him. So then we're both doing it. So then when he's done, or we're both done, then we both had to clean it together.
Yeah.
So he wasn't on his own, and he learned if he wanted to do something, he had to put up with cleaning up after himself. And he never drew on the banisters again after that, or anywhere else in the house. And it really annoys me now, because I'm still in that house. I would be able to see them everywhere.
To see them, yeah. I've got my daughter was Amy. I said her name then. My daughter was I forget how old she was, and she was painting in the house, and she'd drawn this thing on a cupboard door, and I was thinking for years, doesn't that look like a spinning top? And it was like one of them. Remember them things where you used to have to plunge it down and it used to spin like mad? Yeah. Well, it looked like that, and I kept saying to her, because it was in my eyesight lying in bed, and I'm thinking, that does look like that. Don't you think it's smart? And to everyone else, it was squiggly lines, and why haven't you painted over it? But it was like, no, it's just squiggly line. And when we left, I always said, right before we leave, I'm cutting that out. I'm cutting the wood off so I can keep it, so then I can show her, because I've got all this stuff. And I totally forgot, and so I've got the same. I've got paintings. I've got paintings of my kids' bums and feet. Yeah. Well, to be honest, my daughter was young enough, and we had enough paint left over in the paper plates that it was kind of one of those. I've just changed her. She's clean. She's got no nappy in. Donk. Nice. Yeah. Clean nappy. Done.
I'm not going to lie, my neighbour across the road has one of those painted on her fridge and she doesn't know what it is.
No way. It's mad, isn't it? And it's frightening.
One of my neighbours around here is a foster carer who backs me on everything. She took one of my badges with the logo and she wears it and everything, and she's a foster carer. She's known me since I moved in this house 2 years before social even got involved. It's a fucking joke. Sorry.
It is. It's absolutely.
Cam Dubber said the PayPal is spelt wrong, but if it's spelt children natter, then it's not spelt wrong. It's right. It's just the spelling mistake I made when I first set it up.
You know what? I was just reading that. I thought, where have I got? Oh, it says natter, doesn't it? Yeah. Yeah.
I've been having a joke about it on a couple of the lives today about the fact that I made a massive fucking spelling mistake when I put children natter and I didn't look at it before pressing confirm, and then I can't change it.
So yeah, it is that link. So someone pointed out I made a spelling mistake the other day. I meant to put subscribe and I put sud. I put a D instead of a B. But it's on about 9 videos and no one highlighted it until yesterday, so I'm a little bit disappointed in that. But never mind. Spelling mistakes. So what's the future hold for yourself?
We've got the demo coming up on the 14th of this month.
Yeah.
This Saturday.
This Saturday.
Oh, for some reason I keep having July in my head, but it's not July. It's this month. It's this Saturday. It's kind of like. Luckily, we tried setting this up early enough because we were trying to get Luke uncaged down, but Luke has to work now, so he's going to be doing a pre-recorded speech for the day as well.
Yeah, he's in Poland, isn't
he? Yeah, but we've got quite a few people coming down, so we're going to be meeting up at Manchester Piccadilly at 12 o'clock, hoping to start speeches at 1 o'clock.
Yeah.
And I had a message from a reporter who came down to the camp in September who's seen the posts that we've put up everywhere and who's also now coming down as well.
Oh,
so
excellent.
Should have an eventful day, and I also have a diary full of lives to do.
No, that's brilliant because it's although we see different channels, they've all got different audiences, and so although everyone know, I would assume that I shouldn't use that assume. I hate people saying that, but a lot of people will know who you are. They've probably got bits of information like myself, and I was doing a little bit of research in how these cases work, and one of the cases was a bit what I was saying, where they went around the house and they realised there was cups and a plate stacked on, and they were like, you do realise that if you had a child in there, they pulled that, and it was like, and that went really negative because it was saying. And they actually had someone around actually showing them how to move things and it was just like you're being really patronising now. It's just like, and this is literally what they're trying to do when they have social services around. They're looking for the slightest little mark, and it's anything to go against you. So they're not even there to try and help you as such.
Both the social workers who took both my kids sit in Costco at my local precinct and watch families. Social services are also known for making phone calls, making allegations against the families to get entry into the homes. Because once they have entry, they can say you said whatever, and it's your job to prove it.
Yeah.
I am, however, going to have to jump up very soon because I do still have to set up.
So if you want to, so it's Manchester 11, Manchester Piccadilly. I think that's near the train station, actually, isn't it, Piccadilly?
It is. It's very near both the train station, the central bus station is there, and the coach stations. Both of them are right near it as well, so it's all within walking distance.
So
and we'll be meeting up at Piccadilly Gardens as well, so it should be good. It should be really good.
Like I said, I have got a prior engagement, and I do apologise.
You're still fighting the same cause. You're Pride of the Nation, aren't you?
So it's I will be actively involved in the next one. And try and get push out as much as I can, to be honest.
How about the next one? I'm hoping to get a few people together to actually organise it all together, so we can get a few different groups from completely different backgrounds to each other as well, to kind of help each other get heard, and also that's what it's about. It's about helping each other, and if we can get everyone to one spot, then we can help all the speakers, all the causes get heard.
I tell you what I'm going to do for you, right? and this is, I was thinking about this the other day, and I was thinking of a good cause, and I didn't find one up until now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 100 Anders, I'll use a sticker method. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to create just a basic Katie-Jayne Swallow Children's Matter. I'm going to put a QR code on it, and then I'm going to send that link out to anyone that wants to print it. And so what will happen is, if you send me, because the QR code on there, it would need to be one website. And so if you give me whichever you want to go on there,
it'd probably be the website we've been building, childrenmatter.news.
Okay, so what I'll do, I will say follow Katie-Jayne Swallow, and I will put that as the QR code. And when they're done, I will send you a photograph, just proof I'm doing it.
That'd be awesome.
I'm going to send these, I'm going to give it to other people, but I'll print them out so it's easier for me. And then if anybody wants any of these stickers, I can send them to a PO box. I can send them anywhere you want. Just obviously we don't like giving addresses out, especially with what I'm doing with Vinnie Sullivan and stuff like that. So I tried to.
Don't worry, I've doxed myself a couple of times live, so I'll send you my address. Don't worry. I mean, to be fair, that white T-shirt behind me that came today. That was actually something that someone donated to us.
Ah, brilliant. So what I will do, I will reel off your QR code with your name, and I will print out, say, 1,000 of these, and I'll post them to you. And when you're at the rally, I can probably get these sent out to you tomorrow or next day, so you will have them by the weekend. Okay, and this is a promise. Be amazing. This is a promise. So I will get all these printed with just Katie-Jayne Swallow with a QR code that the people can scan, and I will send you as many as I can get. Minimum there'll be 500.
I honestly cannot thank you enough.
And you can just stick them
amazing.
Anywhere you like, and just give them out to everyone. Attempt to do a 100 Anders meme. And
I'll be going down to the fucking bus stops all up and down the ranks and plastering the fuckers.
and these stickers are very hard to get off. Put it this way.
Awesome, that is great. Thank you so much.
So I will do that, and I will get them to you. If you DM me, like I said, you don't need to give your address. If you give me a generic address, or you've got a post office address or whatever, it's entirely up to you. I will get them printed tomorrow, and I will send them out the same day. And you will get them. What day is it today? Tomorrow, Wednesday. You'll get them for Wednesday. So if I do it tomorrow, you get them Thursday.
Oh, you are amazing.
Much enough. You'll have more than enough time to actually go on a massive sticker run.
You're amazing. Thank you so much.
Problem. So, and I was thinking of doing this before, but I thought I'd wait to tell you that. So yeah. So because I can't be there, you can have enough stickers to go ahead.
Oh, thank you.
So listen, guys, everyone in the chat, thank you for keeping it clean in there. There was a few trolls. Thank you for getting rid of them. I don't have trolls on this channel. Any stupidness people get taken out, they won't be allowed back on the show. So again, thank you very much for coming on. I know it's a difficult subject. Fucking hell, hang on. Yeah. Honestly,
thank you for having me on. It means so much that you actually reach out and that you encourage me to come on as well. Thank you for that.
Yeah, I mean, I get emotional 3 or 4 times now, because it is difficult, because people with kids understand what this is. So I do much appreciate you coming on and talking very open and what it was. And again, thank you everyone for that. Just share this out to everybody. If you want to say the last words about Friday, and then we'll leave Saturday. Sorry.
Well, before I do, I wanted to give a personal thank you to you as well, because you've actually given me the opportunity to talk about my kids, and today's one of those days where that helps. Even though it's a hard day, talking about them does help me get it through, because it keeps them with me in a sense. So I wanted to thank you for that.
No problem at all. No problem.
And if anyone can make it down on Saturday, please do. It's going to be an absolutely amazing day. We should have some absolutely great people there. I've not anywhere put out a full list of speakers of who's coming, because it is going to be a surprise, and there's going to be obviously a couple of random ones turning up and new people as well I'd like to introduce to everyone. So if you can, make it down, and if you've not already subscribed to Children Matter, please do that, because at 9 o'clock we're going live with Luke Uncaged and Fonzie as well.
So can you all go to you have to subscribe, because Lou and Fonz are great guys. I was on there last Wednesday. So yeah, if you jump over there and then see the madness happen, because with Lou and Fonzie, you know how it's going to go down.
Well, this is the first time they're coming on my show.
Yeah.
I'm on theirs tomorrow.
So no, that's going to be brilliant.
Well, I am going to have to jump, so
Yeah,
thank
no
you
worries.
for having me, though.
Yeah, no problem at all. All right.
Take care, all. Bye.
Take care. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. Right then, thank you for everyone for being here. It is, like I said, you know, it's upsetting, and it can be upsetting, to be fair. So yeah, Manchester, Piccadilly, literally, if you've got a spare couple of hours, we'll start at 1 o'clock. I can't be there. I've apologised a few times, but train station outside there is very, very easy to get to. All you got to put in is Manchester Piccadilly. There is two, so make sure if you do go, it's Piccadilly. And just, if you are going there, just introduce yourself to her and just say you're from the chat. Getting emotional again, but yeah, so we'll leave it there. God bless to Katie, and God bless to her kids. And I hope in the coming future that the law changes and maybe she can be reunited with her kids, because that's mainly what this is about. But this is a hot topic, so okay. Speak to you all again soon. I'll probably start a stream after this, just so we can, if anyone wants to jump on. I'm sure some of the ladies in the chat, it's heartbreaking for them. So I will speak to you soon. And God bless Katie-Jayne and the kids.